Hi everyone. Oh, there might be feedback if I do that. Okay, sorry everybody. My internet decided it didn't want to play the game during the live stream, and now I'm fighting with it. So just give me 2 seconds here. Okay. Oh, okay. We might be back on the right Twitch thing. Okay. Love this to catch up. Okay. Go to that one. I just want to live stream with the people. Okay. Good Lord. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay. I have Odari. I've got other people in the chat. Sorry, guys. My Rogers decided that it just didn't feel like playing the game, and now I have to figure the thing out. So sorry. Okay. Don't know where we got cut off, but what I'm doing is re-exporting my files from the PDF into PDF so that I have different layouts available. The PDF I want to have for the higher res prints and things. The JPEGs I want for, oh, I didn't rename it, that's why. Print. The JPEGs are for putting into the Behance project and putting online. They're just a smaller file. And because I'm saving these PDFs with like the raw data in the background, there's a lot more information in them. So it gives me a lot more for printing, etc. It gives me a little bit more quality in there. And if you're doing this and you don't know where your artboards are or which one is which, mine is 1, 2, 3 just because I made it that way, but I do have files in here where they're kind of scattered all over the place. So if you're not sure what your artboard is, you can just select something on your artboard. And if you don't have it open already, this is the artboards window, or you can do window artboards in Adobe Illustrator, and it'll highlight which artboard you're on. So it might be a little small on the screen, but if I select something over here, you can see it's on artboard layer number 2, and this one's on artboard number 3. You can name your artboards if you like. This one's a pretty simple file, so I'm probably not going to do that here. But if I was doing something a little more complex, if I was doing something for a branding project or something like that, I'd probably name my artboards. But these are straightforward, and every tarot card's going to have the same one. So that's what we're going to do there. So we have one more that we're going to do. So file, save as, and then final coloring page. We don't want an AI, we want a PDF, and we want it on the third artboard. And I could have done the same thing with the JPEGs. Save. With the individual JPEGs, like one at a time, but doing them as a group like that, like they're not going to, when you export a JPEG, it's not going to cluster them together like a PDF. So a PDF, it's going to, if you have all these artboards, it's going to automatically combine them all into a single one. I want the separate files in this case, just for sending it to my printer and stuff later on. So we're all set to go for that kind of thing. So rather than me having to break it apart later, I just have everything ready to go. Okay, so what did we have? The final okay, so I put all my very raw files in here. So when I pull things out of Fresco, I'm not going to do this right now because I seem to be asking a lot of my internet. But if I remove, I will export each kind of file format from Fresco just so I have them here. So if something happens to my cloud or something happens to my iPad or my account or something like that, I have these backup raw files. So this is the raw Photoshop file. So if I want to ever use a Photoshop file or hunt this down later on, I have it in another place. The PNG is just the image file. The PDF has some of that vector liner in it as well. And then JPEG is another image file that I can just use later. I just want to make sure we have all the same things before I move on to our mock-up. Okay. Just want to make sure that we can, this. Okay, there is sound. Okay, good. Phew. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is our mock-up. So now that we've exported our final layout of each of these cards, we're going to, oops, do a mock-up. So what I decided to do early on in this project was I was going to have these kind of card layouts ready for the for each suit. So I have a different kind of layout for each suit. So all of the mood cards, or the mood, or it's coin cups cards, sorry, it says cups right there. I don't know what's going on, guys. I think it's time for time out. I'm so sorry, I'm so scattered. Oh no, not you, thank you. My technology is possessed. I don't know what's going on. So all of the cards in this suit are going to have the same background. So just like if we go to another one that we've had before, so the Snake Charmers had this layout with the kind of 2 gold balls with the trees. This one should have the same one. So all of them are going to have the same kind of background or treatment. So every suit's just it's going to help them be just a little bit more consistent in their presentation. So that was just going to help my own brain just to kind of keep some things sorted. So as we get later on, hopefully that'll kind of stick and help me out a little bit. So because I have Celia's card already sorted out here, I have the final mock-up, but I also have the final markup Photoshop file. So we're going to do the same thing that we did with this layout card and save the already existing raw card. I'm just going to move these a little bit so I can see the chat, or not. Holy cow. Yeah, sure. Why would I not want that in front? Okay. So what we'll do here is we will, save as again. So that's Command Shift S, mockup. But what we want to do is we want to do this, and we want to do Q, Sukiko T, mockup, and we're going to put it in here, and the final, PSD, save, and click OK. So what that does is that maintains all of our kind of black overlays, our highlights, everything that we had in place, our background. So I'll walk through this file a little bit here. So we worked on this file. You can see there's kind of a split down the middle. This one isn't as obvious as some of the other ones. The cards on the kind of mock-up exports that I did, they were like a little wider than the cards that I was developing. So I kind of just did a little Photoshop magic to kind of make them in the center, because I wanted this background, it's not playing in too much, but I wanted the card to kind of be about the same size so that I could take advantage of like the little shadows and things that are on there. So that's the basis of that. And then we put in our card. And then what we have here is just our flat card. You can see we used the large one, and I'll show you how I'm going to put that in for this card next. But we put a little bit of an outer glow effect on that, and I'll just double click this so you can see some of that. All that does for me is just sits it in the space a little bit more. So it just kind of sits it in there a little bit. When we turn it off, it just kind of feels a little flat and like it's not really in the space. So if you put a little bit of a dark outer glow, so you play with some multiplies and darkness and all that kind of stuff, and just a little slight tiny little outer glow, which gives it kind of like a shadow all the way outside, then it sits it in the space just that little bit more. It kind of looks like it's a little bit part of the space. So this, because I'm doing this file save as, and I built all 4 suits plus the major arcana backgrounds at the same time, they're going to have the same settings for each card. But if you have like a consistent amount of art that you want to do, you can kind of just make note of what some of these settings are, or make default, and then it'll maintain those settings for you so that you can always be applying that. But depending on the size Like if you're doing a big poster and then working down on a small like business card size, the same settings aren't going to work for both, because of the small size, the shadow's going to look a lot bigger, or the big one, the shadow's going to look a lot smaller. So I like to just work within the space that I'm working on, but because all of these cards, like these final layouts, are going to be the same square shape, I've just applied this to all of them. So now I don't really have to keep applying that. I just have to do it to the first 5 sets and then move along with that. And then I wanted to give it a couple other little effects to make it look kind of like it's like a card in the space. So there's that little bit of a highlight, little bit looking like a glossy card. And then to unify everything, because I've mentioned my struggles with color theory and stuff before, I like to unify something over. So like there's some colors in here that aren't in the background and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, I just want to make sure that they go together. So I put a very light, like 10% opacity black over top of everything, just to kind of make it all look like it's part of the same situation. Just to kind of dull anything that might be too bright, or just kind of level things out just a little bit. Like I said, it's 10%, and you wouldn't really notice that it's not, that it's there, but just a little bit to just kind of unify things a little bit. You can do this with a white, you can do this with a color. Oh my goodness. The technology, man, I swear. Okay. So just to unify it that little tiny bit. So that's how we do that. So now that we have this card open, we've saved it as the other card, as the right card in the right file. What I'm going to do is select our Celia note, and I might have not linked this, which is my fault. So if this was linked, which it doesn't look like I did do that, I could replace the art easy peasy. But it doesn't look like I did that, which is unfortunate. Okay. The problem with linked files is if I put in a link file, there's good and bad. Good in that if I had the border of the card linked and I didn't update to one card, it could update everything that's linked live across every file. All I have to do is kind of open it, really. So if I changed this out circle to I want it to be red now, rather than going into every card that has this gold and updating it to red, I could update the main file to red, and then it would update all the files, which is super great. And I was going to build the templates, like the frames, that way initially, but then the way I was building them, it was just hurting my brain and it wasn't going to work properly. But if I move any of those files, so say I linked this and I was like, I want a new folder structure, I want all these files moved, that breaks the link, and then I have to reconnect everything. So that's probably why I opted not to do that. I'll show you what the linked looks like. So if I place linked, and I want the large one because we want as many pixels as we can get. So I put it in here. This is not how you do this. Don't not hold the shift key. I just want to show you what the file looks like. So relink file or replace contents. That's what I was looking for earlier. So what I could do is, so I did that and I replaced contents, assuming that the first card was like that. And I wanted to do this and update to this large one. It keeps all of the information and then links it together. And like, so it keeps the sizing, the everything all together, and it would have maintained the utter glow and all that kind of fun stuff. But the risk I run there is just, there's 78 cards, and if I start moving files around and forget that I've done this, I'm going to make a ginormous mess. So I'm just going to embed this for now, and we're going to put the large one in and see where we're at. For the love of Pete, hold the shift key when you're doing these kinds of things. There's a little shadow on the outside of my Illustrator file. That's why the bounding box isn't fitting exactly. So that's pretty close. So I'm going to hide this. And we're going to apply. If I go down to the outer glow, you see, like if you noticed any of the numbers previously, 63% maintained, the multiply maintained, everything that was in the file already maintained that. If you want a whole pile of different outer glows in your file, that's totally fine, but it will remember the last one that you did. So that's what this did, and that's perfect. That reapplied what I just hid away. So I'm going to get rid of this layer. Just click and drag it to the trash can. And then I'm just going to relayer it, drag it down to where it needs to go. Something's weird is happening here. Oh, something weird is not happening there. Okay. All right, hit save. Where'd he go? That's a good boy, bud. Good job. Okay, so that's replaced now. So now you can see the content there. So all I did was kind of click and drag to make sure, like, and I matched the outer size of the card that was there previously. Not a nice exact science, not great for wicked accuracy. It'd be a lot faster for me to just do all those linked files and move them forward. But this is more for social media and for the Behance projects and such to move them forward. So, Mojo, you're fine, puppy. 2 seconds, okay? I'm almost done. So I'm not worried about linking them all. I think cleaning up the mess would be a little bit more scary for me. So they're linked, and it's just kind of a small, quick tweak on this case. So I'm not too worried about linking them right now. Okay. Mojo. Odari says hello. You gonna come sit with me? Yeah, I'll come play with you in 2 minutes. So yeah, so I'll go to the artboard here. So that's our mock-up layout, and then we're going to make sure we save it, and then we're going to export a PNG as well. A lot of exports here, but I just want to make sure that we have all the files we need, and I'm doing them all at once because I could do these 2 raw files, the Illustrator file and the Photoshop file, but then when I go to do the Behance project, do the updates and everything, then I would have to export these eventually anyway. So there's not really any point in not doing it while the file's open. Coins. Not coins, cups, because it says cups on the card. Final files, mockup, PNG, save. So then I'm going to go into here and just label this final mock-up here. I'm just going to label it as blue, and then label this as blue, because that tells me that my file is done, that card's ready to go, just for my own sanity. And then what we would do is we're going to go into Behance, and I think I've started a project on this already. What I'm trying to do is, as I mentioned, just do some of these as I go, because if I don't, then it gets muddy and messy, and I have to do it all at the last minute, and it's overwhelming, and I don't want that. Which one's the one that I'm looking for? This one. Okay, perfect. So you can see I already have those kind of step processes in there. I have the live streams from when we were working on this already. And then we want to throw in, like right now I'm just throwing in different images and things for the final. Everything's just kind of being dumped in, and then at some point I'm going to lay them all out nicely. I've actually started instead duplicating the projects. So all I'm doing is replacing images and updating text, so I'm not relaying out these new things all the time, because that's a lot. Nope. No, buddy, just leave the neighbors be, okay? So I want the coloring page and the print to be beside each other. And then I think I want... No, thank you! Oh Lord, it's like a social experiment around here. Okay. And then I want the layout. I want this one. Okay. Upload. So now these are all in the project. Like I said, I have a different method of working now that I have kind of a layout and the cards that I like. But this one's already started, so we're going to keep going with it. So these are just the bits and pieces. So what I would have to do next is go in and add the story. I need to add the card description, why I picked what I picked, anything I learned from this card, all that kind of fun stuff. And then go in and lay it out just like I have for the other ones. We're going to save this draft. And I'll show you kind of how I've been working since. Because I was working on some cards simultaneously, this is how I was working on it. But now that I have a layout that I like, that you've seen kind of in... So this is the Snake Charmers, the last one before the holidays. Oh my goodness gracious. Why aren't we selecting things? Fine, we're going to do Prospero. The snakes don't want to play the game. So we start with like a little description, and then we go down into the card, why I picked it, and then kind of a layout here of like when we were getting started, what inspired the card, the build, anything I learned, live streams, etc. So this kind of like layout is kind of what I'm going to try and have for most of these cards. So rather than starting them all raw from the beginning, I've duplicated a few. So you see here, there's like the kittens. So this one, what I'm doing is so I started putting in some of the archers. So the ones that we were working on last week. So now instead of starting from the beginning, as I have content, I'm going to replace it. So you can see this is the kittens and things, but you see I've replaced my live stream with last week's live stream. And then I'll go through and read through everything. So once I have the time lapse for that card, I'll replace this time lapse, and then I'll replace this layout, and I'll replace all this content. And then I'll have a good prompt as to what I'm going to be filling in for content. I don't have to keep going back and revisiting. We're just reusing content and layouts, because like I don't have to create each one of these little text boxes each time now. It's already created. I just fill it out with card appropriate information now instead. So that's really simple if you are creating your own projects. I don't think, if I go back to my work projects, if I do this, you clone your project. And so when you clone that project, it creates everything that's in there, it duplicates it and throws it into your drafts. So that's what I did with these guys, just to make sure it worked. And then I named it appropriately and moved on. So all of these guys, so the acrobats and the potions and the box that we were all kind of worked on before the holidays in the fall, those were already started before I thought to do this. So they're going to be kind of just still building as you go. And then we're going to start using these kind of templates, I guess, is kind of what it is. And then we'll move on from there just to kind of facilitate the process a little bit, reducing some of the overwhelming part of the process. So it doesn't feel so overwhelming when you're going to put it together. And then we publish it and it goes into the work with the rest of the magic. Oh my goodness. Okay. So that's kind of how I end up putting all these guys together. I tend to have wait till I have a few cards on the ready to go. So I'm not just doing them one at a time. So I have a few built up, like the ones that we worked on last week and the ones I worked on over the holidays. And then I got started on a few more. Moj, please, bud. I know, I'm the worst. I've been getting started on a few more cards. Let's see if these will open without making a mess for this year. So we have our Contortionist is going to be next. Worked on her layout last night. I'm starting to work on the carousel as well. Let's see what kind of layers I can get going here. Oh, enough, yo. Good Lord. So this is going to be a carousel card that I'm working on as well. So these are the ones I'm working on for this month. That's fine. So as I'm building through these, so like when I have a few of these, we have the lady with the feathers on her jacket and the two sisters, and then the big cat still, and then the archers are almost done. They're not quite finished yet, but we can take a look at them. Here, they're just about done. I want to pop out the arrow a little bit more. So I'm deciding how I want to do that. And make sure that fire really glows. It's not popping off the page yet, so I want this to pop out. So once these are done, then I have about 5 or 6 or so of the cards that are ready to go. So I'll sit down in an afternoon and go through this whole process for all those cards all at once, because then it's kind of just replacing the art on it instead of kind of starting from scratch. So it gets into a kind of a good groove, exporting the files and then just kind of in big chunks so that they're ready to go well ahead of their launch. Like I think the archers aren't until like they're not even being launched until the end of March. That's a lie, even after that, in the middle of April. So that kind of stuff, like that way I'm ahead of the game and things can just kind of keep flowing out. And so if I have a week where I'm doing other projects, then these are ready to go. So yeah, that's how my process works. Ojari says awesome and wow, thank you so much. So yeah, so that's kind of my process. That's how I work through the finalization of the cards. You guys get to see a lot of the work on the actual art side of it, but they need a little bit of admin work to kind of get them tweaked and ready to go for that final presentation. So I hope that was interesting to people. That's kind of a cool thing to work on, and now I feel better having one more card ready to go. Couple things. DTM and I are going to be chatting this week, so the collaboration I've been talking about is coming soon. So please keep an eye out for it. And then the collaboration streams are also coming soon. The start of the year is just a lot of planning, so I will get those going because I'm very excited about them. I just want to make sure I have a good plan going in. I don't want to be too scattered. So keep an eye out on those things. And I think that's it. I think that's all the updates I have. So thank you for hanging out with me through this process and through technology chaos. I'm going to turn my computer off now, give it a break, and take a bit of a time out on the technology. Not really sure what happened there. And hang on a second. Something looks weird. Hang on. Something looks weird. I didn't use artboards for the coloring page. There's 3 pages in here. I wonder what was going on. I just changed it to PDF in the name, and it wouldn't have done that if it wasn't all the artboards. That's easy for me to clean up. I'll take that. I'll clean that up later. That's fine. That's fine. Me and the tech need a timeout. It's all good. It just saved them all together. We're not losing anything. I just need to cut the other 2 out. It's all fine. It's all fine. Ugh. Okay. Thank you for fumbling with me. I hope you guys are having an excellent start to your week. And I will be back next Monday at the same time and channel, and maybe we'll work on another tarot card or maybe a collaboration. Who knows? It'll be something exciting. So I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will catch you guys all next time. Have a great week, guys. Thanks so much for hanging in. Bye.